yeah, Colby Covington's washed. That's a wrap for his career, man. We're not going to see anything meaningful from him ever again. Joaquin Buckley put a hellacious beating on him from pillar to post. Who do you want to see Joaquin Buckley fight next? Usman, Garry, or Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad he mentioned. I mean, there's plenty of options out there, and he's still trying to prove he's among the elite of the division. But Colby Covington, he's washed. He's done. That's it. He sat on the sidelines for so long. He looked like he didn't even want to be in the cage. I mean, he was looking like in the first round, like, hey, I really don't want to be here. He looks like me on a Monday evening, like trying to clock out. Like, yeah, I don't want to be here. I want to go home and hang out and not be at work. Yeah. So there was even a point in the fight to where Covington looks up at the clock and Buckley's like, yeah, you see that, huh? You still in here with me, which was a big power move on Joaquin Buckley's part, because Buckley's like, you're in here with me and I am beating you, and you know it. You absolutely know it. So Colby Covington, his performance just down the drain, man. I mean, terrible from start to finish. He looked timid. Like I said, he didn't want to be there. It was just a bad performance. You know, the takedown attempts is where he was going to win this, because everybody knew Colby Covington was not going to be as athletic as Joaquin Buckley. He wasn't going to be able to outstrike Joaquin Buckley. Maybe with the volume, possibly, but that was a big chance of him getting clipped. And we saw him get clipped and dropped. I know, kind of like the clip and drop was more or less like, you know, I caught you off guard and you kind of in transition there, but regardless, he dropped him. Colby Covington tried takedowns and pulled right into half guard, and it's like, what are we doing? Colby, what is going on? Like, you can't come out with the American flag over you and have Hulk Hogan in a pre-cut shirt and rip it. You know, that it's cool. Yeah, I get it, but you can't do that and then go out and put on a performance like that. Nobody's beat Colby Covington like that. Nobody. Like, you know, him and Usman in the first fight and the second fight, both, I guess, they went back and forth a little bit. Colby Covington had his moments. He took Usman down even though it wasn't official, yada, yada. And Usman, you know, broke his jaw in round 5. He dropped him, sure, but man, the beating he took from Joaquin Buckley without giving a beating back was terrible. But that's what you get when you sit on the sidelines for so long. He's been out for almost 2 years ever since his last fight with Leon Edwards. Think about that. That was 2 years ago. Edwards has since lost his title to Belal Muhammad. And we know Leon Edwards is not the most active fighter either. Oh my God, just bad. He looked slow, man. He really did. He looked slow. He looked sloppy. He looked like he had been gambling the whole time, which we know Colby's a big gambler, but like professionally, kind of. I don't know anything about that world. So if Colby's not a good gambler, please don't hold that against me. But yeah, great performance. I thought, you know, Buckley looked great. Colby Covington is definitely done, though. I mean, let's talk about, though, Joaquin Buckley. Is he legit or is he very opportunistic? Now, a lot of people are going to come out and say, like, oh, what do you mean? He's not legit. I mean, he's beating. He's winning. He's undefeated at 170, sure. But he does have a bit of an opportunistic resume. Not that dissimilar from what Colby Covington's done in the past. Think about it. Covington kind of comes up. He beats old Rafael dos Anjos, old Robbie Lawler, old Tyron Woodley. When he comes up against somebody that's his level, he loses. Think about like Usman. Masvidal wasn't his level, obviously. Leon Edwards. So is he legitimate? Is a Colby Covington win worth anything to Joaquin Buckley? And our past shows us with the UFC, specifically with Colby Covington, when he beat Tyron Woodley, a very done Tyron Woodley. Yeah, it does mean something when you get these kinds of wins over old men. I mean, Colby Covington made his career over that. And we see Joaquin Buckley trying to do that in his next matchmaking. He called out Leon Edwards, who's a former champ. He called out Belal Muhammad, the current champ. And in the middle of those two, he called out Kamaru Usman, who is an old man. Usman, I think the fight goes the same. I don't think he can handle Buckley. Buckley's strength, he did show a really good job of, being able to sprawl takedowns just by being faster and stronger than Colby Covington. Now, Usman will be a different monster compared to that, sure, but it's a proper step up. I can accept that coming in from Kamaru Usman and Joaquin Buckley's potential fight. But a win over Colby Covington, yeah, it's kind of worth something. It'll carry him. He's got the name value and all of that. But is he elite at 170? I wrote an article for My MMA News. You should check it out, about how a win for Joaquin Buckley would put him amongst the elites, but kind of a man out of place there. Like, think about this. All right? The elite of 170, you've got Shavkat Rakhmonov. Everybody's thinking of Shavkat. They're thinking of Ian Garry, and they're thinking of Jack Della Maddelena. That's the big three. Left out is Sean Brady. Sean Brady might be able to weasel his way in there. But Buckley, who's ranked 9th before this fight, he's getting a win over 6th-ranked Colby Covington. He might move up to 6, 7, potentially number 5. We don't know, but we'll see. He's still not there. Like Shavkat Rakhmonov, he beat Stephen Thompson, and obviously beat Ian Garry. That Ian Garry win's going to carry Shavkat a long way, especially going into this title fight that he has coming up potentially. It's supposed to be rebooked, but we'll find out, right? He had a torn MCL, so it could be a while, which means Bilal could potentially fight Buckley, which would be wild. But he doesn't. Okay, tell you what, let's go over to the web real quick here. Let's take a peek at what Buckley's done. Let's see, Joaquin Buckley right here. Let's see here. So you've got wins over since moving up from that devastating loss to Chris Curtis. What was Fialho? I think Fialho was 180. Nope, that was 170. Okay, so Andre Fialho, really good high kick. A win over Alex Morono is good. Morono's a tricky opponent, but not quite elite. You got Vicente Luque, which he's old. Nursultan Ruzaboyev, which is a decent win. Ruzaboyev actually, he's got a fight coming up, I believe. Oh, he was supposed to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov. He was going to beat the daylights out of him. He hadn't really beat anybody great either. I remember the Shavkat Rakhmonov fight, and I was like, maybe. Then obviously we remember the Stephen Thompson knockout, and now Colby Covington. So he hadn't really done too much, but again, though, what he's doing is impressive. What Colby Covington is going out there and doing is putting himself. I'm sorry, not Colby Covington. Listen to me. What Joaquin Buckley is going out there doing is putting himself in the name with these people, and he's doing it in the way that's been done in the past. I need to see him go out and fight somebody, not Kamaru Usman. Jack Della has a fight. Ian Garry was supposed to be this fight until Bilal had to pull out last week at UFC 310. Remember, it was supposed to be Bilal versus Shavkat. Ian Garry stepped in short notice. Let's book that. Let's book the Ian Garry fight. We're supposed to have it. Let's get them both on full camps. Ian Garry didn't take too much damage from Shavkat Rakhmonov. They both fought a week apart now. Let's say, February, March, end of February, beginning of March. Let's book these two for a main event. 5-round co-main event in a pay-per-view. I don't know if they'll be able to get them both in Saudi Arabia for that February card, if that's the Saudi card I'm thinking of. But regardless, let's get that booked. Let's see just how good Ian Garry is against a fighter that is, we know how good he is now. We saw him fight Shavkat, even though he had a torn MCL. But let's see how he does against somebody who's explosive, and let's see how somebody as explosive as Joaquin Buckley can handle the striking of Ian Garry. Now, Cub Swansong. You get it, guys? Cub Swansong, he might be retiring. 41 years old. Knocked out Billy Q in a slobber knocker of a fight. I mean, from start to finish, this fight was vintage. I think I said, what did I say on Twitter? I said it was lore accurate Cub Swansong. Like, this is what everybody, Cub's been around for so long. He's been through 4 generations of fighters. Been forever since he was knocked out in 7 seconds by Jose Aldo with a flying knee. He fought Doo-Ho Choi. That fight was absolutely incredible. And then he went on that skid after getting up there and fighting people. Hold on, let's pull up that Cub Swansong run, because that has been nothing short of fun and the sun. Let's see. Let's go back real quick, huh? Cub Swansong right here, 30-14. He's been in the UFC for so long. And I mean, I didn't watch in his WEC days. I kind of discovered him more before that, like Doo-Ho Choi, which was like 2016. Max Holloway, we watched him against that. So yeah, but like, look at this. Look who Cub Swanson has fought, guys. We're gonna go back to WEC. Why not? Right? Tommy Lee, Michael Miller, Jens Pulver, Tayaka, Jose Aldo, Chad Now he's not gonna win all these. Let's be fair. He won't win all of them. Ricardo Lamas. He's losing of them, but look at this one. Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, Jeremy Stevens, a decent win. Fought Max Holloway and Frankie Edgar. This ad has to go. It's getting on my nerves. Get out of here. What are we doing? What is this? Let's see. Who else? That's the UFC right here. Duho Choi. You remember that? Artem Lobov, Brian Ortega, Frankie Edgar, Moicano. The Burgos was a close one. Not even going to mention that one. Jonathan Martinez kind of kicked his legs. Philly and Billy Q. So, he's taken a step back in recent years. But at the same time, man, like, Cub Swanson's just the man. He's been around for forever. And to watch him go out there and just continue to compete at the level he did. Now, granted, Billy Q's old, and this was the perfect old man fight. This is the kind of stuff that they should be booking on these fight night cards instead of cutting them loose. Because Cub Swanson managed to go out there and continue to land on Billy Quarantillo. Now, this fight wasn't without its drama. Billy Q did manage to hurt Cub Swanson a couple times. Had him on the ropes, figuratively speaking, more like on the cage, right? Had him really hurt and kind of, going back and looking for an opportunity to survive in that, second round. But in that third round, Cub Swanson just comes over. And all night he was finding this punch. Now, Cub Swanson was finding the right hand all night. I was asking myself, like, Billy Q was hurting Cub, like, with knees and with big shots of his own. I was asking myself, like, man, Billy Q's chin is magnificent. Just beautiful. Because he just kept eating this heavy right hand. But there's only so many of those you can take. And third round, Cub Swanson said, left hook, just to kind of get the ball rolling. Bang! Right up the pipe. Lands perfect. Snaps Billy Q's head to the side, and down he goes. Great old man win for Cub Swanson. Might be his last fight. Or he said in the post-conference, I'd like to rematch Duho Choi, which, after seeing Duho Choi last weekend, I don't know if he really wants to take that and go out on that L. I think Choi beats him, but that's going to be a podcast for another day if they fight. That first fight, if you haven't seen Duho Choi versus Cub Swanson, go back and watch it, because that is one of the best slugfests I've ever seen. They put both of that fight in the Hall of Fame, and both of them have not retired yet. That's how good of a fight that is. Go watch it. Billy Q, though, he's tough. He managed to take a lot of a really big beating, and so really good win for Cub Swanson. Was happy. If that's his last fight, man, it's been an honor. If not, I'm only interested in Duho Choi, and even then, I'm kind of like, I don't want to really see Duho Choi do his thing. Manel Kape gets a win. Wow, what a performance against Bruno Silva. He's finally not boring, right? Manel Kape has laid out some stinker fights. I mean, absolutely terrible. But in this fight, he let his hands go. He styled on Bruno Silva. I mean, he was taunting him. He was, hands down, dancing and basketball dribbling and all the things you do to get under your opponent's skin, right? He did all that. And Bruno Silva's a heavy hitter for sure, but he kept getting clipped. Manel Kape kept getting clipped, that is. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, he's eating these quite well. Now, if you remember the Muhammad Makayev fight, like, Manel Kape was scared to let his hands go. He didn't want to go first. A lot of that, and it drove people nuts. After missing weight and so many fights, people just kind of turned on Manel Kape. But this was the performance. Where he does the Izzy, and he's like, come on, let's go. Like, this is the type of performance you should expect from a guy like Manel Kape, who has fought like that in the past. Specifically in Rizin. More on that in a second, right? Let's wait on that for a minute. Let's pump the brakes there, right? But he's letting his hands go and just piecing him up, and it's just like, yes, this is what I want. This is what I want. Manel Kape landing these huge punches. This is exactly what I want. Bruno Silva looked like he was in slow motion. He just couldn't keep up, especially early in the fight when Kape was just really landing Starts getting his confidence and landing 2 punches, 3 punches, 4, 5 punches in the same combination. Couldn't get him to the ground to control him. Couldn't hold on to him to slow him down. Bruno Silva was just kind of out. Like out and about, like, hey, there's nothing else you can do. As far as his next fight, it's got to be Kai Kara-France for Alexandre Pantoja. So why not run it back again? Manel Kape versus Kai Asakura. This would be their 3rd fight. 2 of them happening in Rizin. Asakura just entered the rankings at 14 or something like that? So let's run that. Manel Kape 3. Manel Kape, Kai Asakura 3. That's what I want to see. What else was on this card? Let's take a peek, huh? Where are we? All right, let's go to the card right here. Sorry, Billy Q. Got to get you out of there. Dustin Jacoby beat Vitor Petrino. Petrino kind of, he was supposed to be the favorite there, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, he was a moderate favorite. And Petrino's this big, muscly guy. Dustin Jacoby's just this old veteran kickboxer guy. And Petrino, he did a good job of kind of controlling this fight. But at the very end, they were both like, okay, Dustin Jacoby's like, I'm going to go first. And Petrino's like, I'm going to counter. So Jacoby says, okay, here's a giant right hand. Are you going to hit me? And Petrino comes over the top. And as you know, straight punches win every time. So great win by him. Daniel Marcos beat Adrian Yanez, and this one was kind of weird. Adrian Yanez, it's just been sad watching him, man, because he had so much talent, and then all of a sudden he's just getting in his head too much. Sucks. It really does, because Adrian Yanez is a blast to watch. He's always good fun, and we just can't get past this mental block that he had. So, he got kicked in the nuts. And eye poked in the same thing. So that's actually something we should talk about for a second. You get kicked and eye poked, and they're not calling a point. And he was eye poked a couple times. He was kicked in the groin a couple times too. And you're not calling points. Again, we talk every time there's controversy about a foul in MMA. We talk about this. I say this every single time. In the NBA or in the NFL, you don't get a warning for pass interference or for a shooting foul. You don't get warnings for it. So why are we giving warnings? Oh, it's going to change how a fight goes. Yes, it should, because kicking him in the nads is going to change how a fight goes. Unacceptable. We have to get past this whole, we need to give a warning. No. If you give a warning, the next foul should be a point deduction. The second foul should be another point deduction, and then disqualification. So, yeah, there's an argument to say Marcos should have been disqualified against Adrian Yanez. But then Adrian Yanez, who is down, or who's tied with him, and the round 3 could go almost either way. Marcos was kind of ahead. A big moment can steal you that. The last minute. What does he do? He clinches with them. And Marcos is like, okay, I'm just going to tie up because I think I'm winning this round. And Marcos won the round and the fight. Down goes Adrian Yanez. Not for real, but in a metaphorical sense, right? So it really brain dead performance from Adrian Yanez in that last minute. Drops to 17-6. Navajo Sterling, another really kind of brain dead performance against Tuco Tokos. Tuco's not very good, guys. And Sterling, who looked great with his striking, kind of just couldn't get him out of there. Michael Johnson had a huge knockout over Atman Azatar. And, Michael Johnson, this is what he does. He either wins until he loses or he wins with a big knockout. So, happy to see the old man get him a win. I'm calling him an old man for a reason, because he is. Joao Alvarez, he's really good fun. I'm going to have to do a study on him one day, because he's an interesting cat, man. He lost to Arman Saryukin. Ismagulov he lost to, and then way back in M1. But, since coming to the UFC, he's been very good. Beat Joe Duffy. Thiago Moises is a decent win. Mark Jacasey's a good win. Elvis Brenner and now Drakkar Klose. Man, this guy has some potential in his future. This guy's good. Somebody you want to keep an eye on is Joel Alvarez, the Spaniard. The real Spaniard, not the Georgian Spaniard, Ilia Topuria. Sean Woodson has proven me wrong yet again since coming to the UFC. So he won his fight. Since coming to the UFC, he's lost one fight, but on the Contender Series, he knocked out Terrence McKinney, who he was losing, and it was a flying knee that won that. But since then, he's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row, including wins over my boy Youssef Zalal, and Charles Jourdain and Alex Sakaras. So I thought, he was losing that fight to Terrence McKinney. Turns out Terrence was pretty good, but he didn't belong in the UFC. And they gave him a contract anyway because he won with a flying knee. But now it turns out, I was wrong. I was wrong on that. So yeah, Felipe Lima beat up Miles Johns. Miranda Maverick won. David Grant got him a win. It's good to see David Grant back in the win column. And then, who was that? Piera Rodriguez beat Josephine Knudsen. Okay. Okay, you get what you get with that one. But anyways, great card, man. UFC Tampa was not a bad card at all. Enjoyed it. I had a good time. 2024, been a fun year. Last UFC fight card of the year. We got Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk 2 coming up. I'm sorry. Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury 2. Usyk's the champ. We're going to do a giant film study on that. But go watch this film study we did on Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury and how Ngannou's clinch work really worked. And we're going to touch upon that a little bit in the film study. So this is something you want to check out. Francis Ngannou, how he negated the clinch work of Tyson Fury.